There's one thing the Oklahoma Sooners can do if they want to be a little bit more like the Indiana Hoosiers.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, we're going to break down 2026 playoff predictions and what is missing from them. We're going to talk through On3's top 100 players. We got several players snubbed, and I created a great debate between David Stone and Taylor Wein that we'll have to dive into a little bit more because people are mad at me, Jay. But we're going to start with this, Jay. Every year, every time there's a new national champion, everybody wants to look at that team to figure out, okay, what can we glean from them to be more successful? Indiana went 16-0. It was one of those things that nobody thought was going to be possible because of the expanded schedule, the expanded parity across college football. So, Jay, what does that mean for the Oklahoma Sooners as we look to see, okay, what did Indiana do well that we could maybe apply to our program?
I mean, the one thing it'd be nice if Brent Venables was a head coach at three other programs before he came here and brought in a whole bunch of players with him. But, since that's not an option, but there is one thing he can do, or this staff can do, this organization can do as a whole. So the rumors have been floating around the social medias as of late, John, that there could be a change in the strength and conditioning room, that Jerry Schmidt could not come back next year. Now, most likely that scenario means he could retire, and that's being pointed out because his contract technically ends here in January 2026. It's January 31st. The Oklahoma Board of Regents meets on January 29th. And so at that point, which is Thursday, if we want to be exact, it's the upcoming Thursday. Then at that point, we'll have a better understanding if he gets extended again or if he decides to go ahead and retire. I'm leaning towards possibility of retiring, as that's what's floating around social media. But in that case, when they bring in the new staff, there'll be some adjustments because, as you know, we're a very tough team. That's something that's everybody's talked about.
Yeah,
one of the best, if not the considered the best defensive line in the SEC, and one of the best in the country. You saw that out of this team because of toughness, and to play the brand of physical football we want to play, there's a little bit of collateral damage. And the unfortunate thing, that collateral damage was our offensive line dealing with, concussions and little stinging injuries on a regular basis. So we're going to have to fix that. But the way you can do that, though, John, is you can adopt some of the stuff that Indiana does. One thing Kurt Signetti talks about is they don't waste time. They don't have a whole bunch of long meetings or long practices. They have their walkthroughs. They get in, they get out. They're efficient. He kicks coaches out of the office in the evenings. They get your work done. Once you're done, leave. I don't need you here to midnight. For what? What value are you bringing besides being tired? And that actually is a hindrance. And so when I think about that part, it feels like Oklahoma could start to scale back on not the physicality, but scale back on how often they are there. Continue to get strong, continue to be bruisers, but don't go out there and kill your players. Because Signetti talked about it. He talked about how rest was important for them. He wanted to make sure they're going to be rest. So, John, now that we're seeing the way the portal is going, and you mentioned this in the intro, depth is becoming a premium. And a lot of people ain't got it. What is a good way to adapt when you know that you're not going to have the depth you used to?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is just taking care of the guys you got, making sure that your starters are able to make it through a season. And one way to do that is to maybe take on some of the NFL style of practicing where you're not having as many contact days, because some of the idea about building a physical football team, building a physical mindset, you can start recruiting that at the high school ranks. You don't have to necessarily develop a tough mindset, develop a physical mindset. You recruit those traits. You bring those traits into your program, and you bring enough of them into your program, and you have a roster full of them That's what brings physicality. That's what brings toughness. It isn't necessarily doing the Oklahoma drill, 5 days a week as you gear up for a big time SEC showdown. No, or inside drill. Like some of those things, okay, you want to practice and you want to do good on good, best on best, and, compete from time to time. But do you need to do it 4 days a week, 3 days a week? Like how much is enough? Again, if you recruit the right guys, you're going to have a physical, tough football team because that's the mindset that you're bringing into the program.
Yeah, you and that physicality is what got you a lot of your wins. But like I said, collateral damage is going to come because in order to get used to being that physical, you got to practice that way. You've got to work hard, you got to hit hard, and that reflects on the field. They don't let up. They go out there and hustle. But now that the fact that, like I mentioned before, that depth is really at a premium. I mean, you're losing players that were going to be a pseudo depth person for the year, and then you expect to start the next year or at least rotate a lot and play a lot. Jaden Hardy's a great example. He was a player that Oklahoma did not want to lose, but he can go start. He's most likely going to start for Colorado Buffaloes. Like, he's that talented, but he wasn't going to start over Peyton Bowen and what Peyton Bowen had been doing at the end of the season. Offense, Zion Kearney's another one. Y'all know how much I love Zion and how much I really wanted ZK to be here as a player that was going to eventually become your starting wide receiver. But you bring in a whole bunch of talented guys that most likely, because they've got production, similar to what Indiana does, they search for guys with production. They don't care about stars. They want guys that have produced if they're going to get them out the portal. Then at that point, you're not going to be able to let him play. He's probably not going to rotate. He's going somewhere where he's going to probably start. He may start at Wisconsin. So in those scenarios, you lose out on really good pieces that can rotate. If there's an injury, they can come step right in and be that next person. All that being said, you've got to prepare for your depth to be a lot younger in comparison to what it used to. Like, you're not going to have a whole bunch of redshirt juniors as backups. Samuel Masigo left specifically because he had 1 year left. Probably wasn't going to play ahead of Cole Sullivan. And that's kind of how you basically portal people on top of others, or at least try to add depth or competition. Doesn't work like it used to. So, yeah, taking care of people's bodies, making sure that they're prepared for the next week. These dudes are strong. I mean, y'all seeing it on the field. I know I wouldn't want to get hit by them. Heck, I think in the Michigan game, John, we took out like 3 of their offensive linemen in that game.
Yeah. And we made them think. Yeah, we made them think twice about running screenplays as well.
Yep.
With the way that Kendall Daniels did and Reggie Powers III, like they were just trucking dudes. And so, and I think Reggie Powers and Michael Boganowski, I think are 2 really good examples of you recruit physicality, you recruit that toughness, right? Those dudes just showed up and just started attacking people from the moment they stepped on. Like Michael Boganowski in the spring game as a true freshman, right? He goes and he lays out Bauer Sharp and, gets some words from Josh Bates. Like, I remember that vividly in my brain.
I remember that spring game too.
That's a dude that's a heat-seeking missile. You don't have to have him practice how to play tough and physical. He just knows how to do it. He brings it to the table every time he steps on the football field. So again, there's yes, you can practice it, but you can be more efficient in the way that you do it. You don't have to have these big, long, extended practices. I think it's really smart, man. You got to figure out a way to maintain your roster for a grind of a 16-game season if you're going to go win a national championship. So I think that's a really salient point you're bringing up here, Jay.
At minimum, your goal is to make the playoffs and try to finally get your first win in the playoffs ever. You get that first win, that's putting you at game, 13, 14 potentially? Yeah, you've got to play the long game going forward. You've got to start looking at the big picture, especially because now there's a target on our back. Oklahoma has a target. People saw, is it a bounce back?
Yeah,
we're going to be watching you hardcore, and people are going to try to derail us. So, if anything, you need to start preparing for that. And that's when you start to, of course, groom the young players and get them ready. You're now starting to see the young players, the fruits of their labor, their redshirt guys are starting to come up and play. So I expect Oklahoma to scale back in certain capacities, just to, like you said, be more efficient. We don't want them to cut back on all of the hitting or cut back on the toughness. Just be smart about it. And I think that if there's a change in the strength side, you're probably going to see that going forward.
Yeah, it's an evolving sport all the time.
Yep.
What college football was 50 years ago is not even close to what it is now. 10 years ago, it's a different game. And so you've got to evolve and adapt. And listen, credit to Brent Venables and his staff. In his 4 years at Oklahoma, he's evolved. He's learned from mistakes. He's grown from some of the things he thought he wanted to have as part of his football program. And I felt like this last year, they took on a kind of get down, get grimy, tough, mentality, not just the catchphrases and the slogans, but they really they believed it. So I think they kind of took off the church robe a little bit, and found a little bit more of a persona that I think represents a tough and physical football team. So excited to see where this thing goes, man. They've got a talented group of players, and 4 guys in particular that were included in On3's top 100 players for 2026, and quite a few guys that we think probably should have been included as well. We'll discuss all that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a playoff boost pack waiting for them in the app. Yes, right there, just chilling there, waiting for you. So each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to bets you like most. So if you open it up, first thing on game day, you'll see what your boosts are you can apply. Then from there, those boosts will let you be able to lean in on those game day instincts that you feel like you want to jump in. If you want to hop on the good old momentum, that good old M word, or the defense, or if you think the quarterback is doing something and you're like, I think I'm going to lean in on this guy. Or maybe you like one coach over another. The NFL playoffs are a little weird this year. It ain't teams that you thought was going to be there because there's a lot of young quarterbacks. And the boost gives you more juice on the bet you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. So you make your picks and you apply that profit boost and go after even bigger payouts, while the playoffs get to rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you want to do more with Locked On every day, go check out the Everydayer Club at lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club. For $5 a month, $50 a year, you can get ad-free audio from Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you download and listen to podcasts. You can also get an invite to a members-only Discord. Discord is an app that you can download on your phone or your laptop computer, and you can chat and talk ball with members of the Locked On community, the everydayers across the network inside the Discord, where, again, you can talk ball, you can talk puck, you can talk hoops, you can talk baseball with spring training right around the corner. You can do all that inside the Discord chat over there. So again, lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club for $5 a month or $50 a year. All right, Jay, the On3 folks released their top 100 players for the 2026 college football season, and 4 Oklahoma Sooners made the list, led by David Stone at number 21. And then you had Kip Lewis, Taylor Wein, and Isaiah Sategna also making the list, coming in at 48 for Kip Lewis, 59 for Taylor Wein, and 63 for Isaiah Sategna.
That's fair. Totally hear from that. Do you think anybody got snubbed? Because I feel like there's a couple of snubs on that list.
Courtland Guillory, Peyton Bowen, Trell Harris.
So I wasn't surprised on Courtland because he was a freshman and they're going to disrespect him, right? That's just the game itself.
So much disrespect.
So disrespectful. So I kind of expected to see that. Yeah, I don't understand why Cole Sullivan's not on that list. I'm not sure why Jaden Jackson isn't right
Yeah.
there in the list. Like you said,
Jaden.
Trail Harris is another one to be considered based upon how well they did at their previous school. But Jaden Jackson, why is he on there? You know?
Yeah.
I'm glad that Taylor Wein was on there, but 58? Didn't y'all see how he played last season? When as soon as you lost R. Mason Thomas, he almost made you forget about R. Mason Thomas. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you know that the talent's there.
Yeah.
And you know that he's going to come in there and take over. What are we doing?
Yeah, and
snubbed?
he was able to still be very productive and very effective without R. Mason Thomas, right? That was going to be the question. How well would the pass rush look with R. Mason Thomas off the field? And Taylor Wein was still productive. So that's a guy that I think isn't getting as much respect as he deserves because he was just a 3-star prospect coming out of high school. So he's still being underrated, but the talent is there and he hasn't reached his ceiling yet. He's an ascending player. Remember, last year was really his first full run in college football. He played a little bit before that, but not much, not enough to be like, hey, we know what we're going to get out of Taylor Wein when he finally takes the field. No, R. Mason Thomas predicted the breakout. We all kind of thought, oh, that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. But I don't think anybody was like, oh yeah, Taylor Wein's definitely going to be the breakout guy this year. And lo and behold, he was the breakout guy this year. So I think he's one of those dudes that's really, really exciting to, and someone to be excited about this year. David Stone's another one. I think David Stone has all the talent in the world to be great. I said it on this show back when he and Jaden Jackson signed with Oklahoma out of the 2024 recruiting class. I said that those two are going to have a chance to be as impactful as Gerald McCoy, Tommy Harris were for their teams. And you get both of them on the same team at the same time. David Stone didn't have necessarily the production yet that you're looking for, but the impact is there. At the same time, I don't think he is 30 spots better than Taylor Wein at this point in their respective careers.
That's a good point. I get why they put him there because of how well he stuffs the inside. I mean, but grade wise, in all the grading sites, I mean, Taylor Wein kind of gets him a little bit on some of the grades. Run defense, David Stone is one of the better ones in the country. So I'm sensing that's probably where a lot of the lean is. But no, I totally agree. I thought it was very interesting that he ended up being at number 20, but at the same time, no Jaden Jackson is where I was thrown off because we've heard numerous people say there's a good chance Oklahoma could have 2 defensive linemen go in the first round next year, right? Stone and Jackson. That's your 2 people. So the fact that we're not, we didn't get both, kind of threw me off. I'm trying to figure out what Jaden ain't there, but
it goes. It's a.
Go
to me, it goes again back to high school. Jaden Jackson was an incredibly underrated player coming out of IMG Academy. True. All eyes were on David Stone, the 5-star plus prospect out of IMG, and Jaden Jackson was just kind of right there. But Stoney said, I'm only as good as I am because of this guy next to me. And I think that that's proven out. Jaden Jackson was a legit baller, even in high school, and an incredibly underrated prospect. Only really getting that 4th star kind of in that final 6-8 months of the cycle. But people were really, really late to the party evaluating him. And he's proven that he is an elite player. He's an elite talent. So again, I think some of this, and listen, On3, their recruiting site, they do a lot of great work. I think some of this comes from their preconceived notions of what these players were coming out of high school as well.
Yeah. And for a lot of them, that's exactly what it is.
I could be guessing at that, but I think some of that is where that comes from.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And I think that's where a lot of them are. It's they're taking some of the ratings in consideration. And I don't like that. Like, Wein should be much higher. He deserves a lot more respect, especially just because of the way that he played. I do believe, I mean, Stone's at a good spot. 21's a really good spot, right? His it was a 9.7% impact rate, was 12th best among P4 interior guys. So, and then it had a plus 81 PFF run grade, which is where a lot of that comes from. Still, I don't see why Wein wasn't up there after the way he played, especially that ending stretch at the end of the season coming into this one. Wein should be a problem. Like, he's going to terrorize defense. Like, they have to focus on him, which should lead to Daniel Koye or a PJ Adebawore stepping up and taking over. Heck, Jaden Jackson. Like, I still thought, I'm kind of still surprised, even though he started to miss some snaps or whatnot due to a little bit of an injury, that Jaden Jackson didn't lead the team in sacks. He was getting there at the beginning of the season. He was, because everyone was so focused on trying to stop R. Mason Thomas. They were so focused on stopping Marvin Jones Jr., so focused on slowing down, Taylor Wein, even David Stone. Jaden was getting in there. He's taking advantage of it. He's getting in there, getting in the backfield, causing problems, getting all in tackles for loss. So it just kind of surprised me that he didn't finish that high, but he did have some injuries. I do think next season that may go up, and he may be the one that ends up in the top 100 or top 20 because of that.
Okay, and then here's the other comparison I want to make as it applies to Wein. And we didn't really get a chance to talk about Kip Lewis or Isaiah Sategna. We can do a little bit of that still.
Yeah.
Dylan Stewart, everybody's favorite defensive end out of South Carolina, came in at number 3 on this list. Can I just compare real quick Taylor Wein's numbers to Dylan Stewart's? Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor Wein had 15 tackles for loss. Dylan Stewart had 12. Taylor Wein had 7 sacks. Dylan Stewart had 4.5 sacks. Taylor Wein had 36 total pressures. Dylan Stewart had 37 total pressures. Okay. In stops, according to Pro Football Focus, these are plays that are counted as a loss towards the offense. Taylor Wein had 26 stops and Dylan Stewart had just 18. So like, that's again, one of those biases that's out there. Dylan Stewart comes in at number 3. Taylor Wein comes in at 59. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, Taylor Wein had a more productive season in 2025. What are we doing here?
You know how they do it. I don't know.
So like, if you think that Dylan Stewart is a better player, okay, I'm not going to argue with you, but is he 56 spots better than Taylor Wein?
That is a big
no,
spot.
He's not.
I think they should be closer. They should be closer by a lot more. I think Taylor Wein deserves to be higher because of it, but he's got to go out there and continue to take his respect.
Yeah.
Because he's earned it.
Right.
And he's been snatching chains like crazy. He's going to keep doing it. And I think he will this year.
Yeah. And if all of this is about just like, hey, these are guys that we think are the best pro prospects. Okay, fine. You're doing that, but don't title it the best top 100 college football players for the 2026 season then. Because that's not what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Taylor Wein was one of the best college football players in 2026. Isaiah Sategna was as well. Kip Lewis, one of the best linebackers in college football in 2026. And again, very underrated. And I guess that's just the way life is when you're an Oklahoma Sooner. You're going to be a little bit underrated, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially with the way we rotate. I think that's probably the only thing that hurts them on defense. We rotate so many players, but it ain't going to hurt them in the NFL draft, though. That's the only thing that matters now.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, we digress. Hey, Isaiah Sategna, Kip Lewis, shout out to you guys. You had great years, and you certainly deserve to be in those top 100 considerations as well. All right, coming up next, ESPN released their early 2026 playoff predictions, and my goodness, if I was upset about the top 100 list, I want to be even more upset about this. We'll come and talk about that next here on Locked On Sooners. But it's that time of year where it's time to pay taxes. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local expert from TurboTax in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every single deduction. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. I know it is for me when I'm trying to get all my tax stuff figured out at the end of the year, trying to go through each and every form and look at all the potential deductions and try and figure out where I can write some things off. Having somebody that knows the business, knows accounting, knows the tax law, it's a game changer, man. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today at turbotax.com/local. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, ESPN released their early 2026 playoff predictions, and your Oklahoma Sooners did not make the 12-team field.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big fan of Bill Connolly. I actually enjoy his SP Plus, and I enjoy how the math be mathing in there. Right, it does a really good job of taking out a lot of the garbage stuff and really focus on rewarding you in the ways that you should be rewarded. You shouldn't be rewarded for grabbing 15 yards on 1st and 20, right? You know, or 1st and 30. You shouldn't 15 yards and do a lot. But, you know, if you're getting a first down, if you get 15 yards on 1st and 10 and getting the first down, you deserve extra points. But not going to break down how SP Plus works because, you know, you can look that up and we talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But Bill decided that he wasn't going to give Oklahoma the respect to potentially make it back to the playoffs, in which, John, I'm going to be honest, I'm so happy he did that. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the bulletin board material because last year, actually, at the end of this season, a little too much rat poisoning. There's a little too much gas being poured on the Oklahoma Flame. Too many people were hyping it up, saying, hey, man, love what Brent Venables doing. The offense should be better the next year, which it will be. Been doing my research. But I was kind of getting to like, yeah, I need y'all to doubt us now. Can we get some more doubts in? That's Bill provided it. He hooked your boy up. Now we are here. There's the doubts. We just go out there and prove them wrong now. Many men wish death upon me.
Yeah, the Oklahoma Sooners did not make the field, and here's what Connolly's 12-team field looks like. Indiana at 1, Georgia 2, Texas Tech 3, Notre Dame 4, USC 5, Texas A&M 6, Ohio State 7, Miami 8, Oregon 9, Texas 10, Oklahoma State 11, and Hawaii 12. The first interesting assumption is that the Big 12 is going to get 2 bids, which through 2 years of the 12-team playoff, they have not. So that's an interesting jump for them. I think it's fun that Hawaii is your group of 6 team that gets to make the playoff this year. I think that'd be a blast. Give me more of that. And then you look at it and you see, okay, Miami from the ACC, and then you get what, 1, 2, 3, 4 Big 10 teams, and then 1, 2,
4 Big 12, 4 SEC,
4 SEC, 4 Big 10, 2 Big 12, group of 6, and ACC. So, you know, it's going to be interesting, you know, and I think the SEC thing, people aren't necessarily as high on the SEC coming out of the 2025 season, but that's okay. That leaves room to prove the doubters wrong. And this leaves Oklahoma room to prove the doubters wrong. All they got to do is go win. You know, if they go win, it'll take care of themselves. Yeah, that's it.
But based upon the way that he has this listed, this schedule this coming season is probably going to be tougher than last season's schedule. And I say that specifically because, no, for real. And I say that because for the 4 teams that he has in the SEC making it, we play this season. We play Texas. We play Texas A&M. We play Georgia. And we also play Ole Miss. All 4 of the teams that Bill Connolly has selected to make it to the playoffs, John, we play.
See, he doesn't have Ole Miss in his 12-team field.
Oh, he has a first round. First round, Ole Miss plays against Miami, number 9 and number 8.
I'm so confused. I'm looking at Oregon and Miami. Why am I seeing it? I'm seeing something different then.
It's at the top. It's at the top, but he may have things a little bit on the weird side. Let me go through and look through this again. But yeah, USC in here, that's weird.
If we simply use Slayback's rankings for this exercise.
That's Slayback's. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. So then down a little bit.
Matter.
Yeah. But still, I mean, Ole Miss is going to be good, especially if Trinidad Chambliss comes back. That's going to be a tough game. So those 4 are going to be the tougher games, and you got to go at least 2-2 in those games because you got to
even take Ole Miss out. We played 3 of the teams he have in there.
Yeah,
Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas.
Yep. And you have a Michigan team that's going to be back into Big Ten, maybe not contention, but in that back to that upper tier of Big Ten teams. Penn State might be able to make the jump right back after taking all of Iowa State's players. So it'll be interesting. But I mean, for Oklahoma, like that game against Georgia to kick off the SEC schedule is going to be huge. And then obviously Texas is going to be huge every year. It is. The game against, Texas A&M is going to be big. The game against Florida, that's going to be big. I know Florida's coming off of a 4-8 season, but John Summerall, I mean, that's a good coach with a good system and someone that knows how to put together a good game plan. So, what the schedule looks like now may feel a little bit tougher. I feel like Mississippi State, that's not a team you can sleep on anymore because Jeff Lebby has grown that program in the 2 years, went from 2 wins to 5 wins, got an SEC win, beat Arizona State last year. So they're, growing, and the Kamario Taylor quarterback, he is an upgrade, I think, over Blake Shapen. So, Kentucky is probably going to be a better team, even though it's year 1 with Will Stein. They're going to be a better team. Yeah. The schedule, I think you're right, is going to look tougher than what it maybe looks like right now. But still, Oklahoma is going to be better than what they are now.
Now, this is funny too. One of his Big 12 teams being Oklahoma State. I thought that was kind of hilarious. So he basically thinks the Oklahoma State Mean Green are going to make the playoffs based upon how they play in the Big 12 this season. It's going to be fascinating to see if Mestamaker is going to be able to replicate what he did down there at North Texas at Oklahoma State. Now, granted, he should. Eric Morris is pretty good with quarterbacks. I mean, Cam Ward only exists because of that dude. That's how good he is when it comes to coaching. But I don't know. I got questions about how that's going to work out Oklahoma State for year 1.
I love what Oklahoma State's done. The hire of Eric Morris was great. Investing and making sure you get Drew Mestamaker to come to Stillwater, to get Caleb Hawkins to come to Stillwater. Those investments were fantastic. I just don't know if going from 2 wins to, they got to go 11-1. They're not making they go 11-1. They still may not make it. That it's a bit of a stretch. So I think that's a big jump and a big ask for year 1. But if they get to 8-9 wins, I think that's a good season, a good, solid step in the right direction for Oklahoma State that proves like, hey, this is the right guy for the job and he can build on this. But I wouldn't be surprised either, because they've got some chemistry working on that offensive side of the ball. And the Big 12, listen, Texas Tech is going to be really, really good. BYU is going to be really, really good. And then after that, it's kind of anybody's game.
It really is. It really is. It's anybody's. And it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how these conferences unfold this year. Georgia being once again the SEC champion. Totally understand. I do like the fact that he gave Indiana respect. So yeah, that's a plus. And he mentioned that in the article. He's like, I'm practicing this respecting Indiana thing. It's a little weird, but we're going to do it. And dude's a natty. Yeah. I like it when they go ahead and say that the team that's number 1 in the country starting the season is the team that won the national championship. They should always maintain that regardless.
Yeah.
Show them some respect. Especially
if you went 16-0.
Yes.
Like if you haven't lost a game in by the time you kick off the 2026 season, it'll have been like 20 months since Indiana lost a game, 21 months since Indiana lost a game. Like if it's been that long, you probably deserve to be number 1 in the nation. So I will have no issue if they are the AP number 1 team when we get to September or get to August or whatever, because it just feels right. Even though it feels weird, it feels right at the same time. I'd rather see that than Texas at number 1, because we did this song and dance last year. And what did Texas give us? Not what a number 1 team should have given you, but I digress.
Game's a game.
Yeah. So Oklahoma, outside of the college football playoff, I think any talk of a 9-win team getting in the playoff, I think we probably need to squash that idea. It's it's going to be unlikely in a 12-team field simply for the way everybody views college football. You know, a 9-win SEC team might still be better than a 10 or 11-win Big 12 team, but simply based on vibes, they'll put the Big 12 or, you know, Big 10, you know, team in there, and that's fine. But Oklahoma, I mean, you look at the schedule, and of those 4 games that you're talking about, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, Texas A&M, Sooners got to go 2-2. And that includes they got to beat Michigan. You know, like in those 5 games, you got to go 3-2 or better to have a shot at making
4-1. 4-1. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, 4-1. And I mean, you're really going to have a good shot. So, all right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner. Y'all stay warm out there during Snowmageddon.
Yeah, stay safe. Stay home if you can. Shout out to all the essential employees that got to go.